I've kind of backed away, even though I love that style of Magic, like Rakdos mid range. I kind of back away, but all right, sounds like our match is up. Round number 6 action coming at you.
Last round of Modern here. Looks like Happy Sandwich on the play and goes for the turn 1 Saga.
All right.
That's aggressive.
That is aggressive. That leads me to believe that there is going to be a turn 2 creature plus the enchantment. I don't know why it's escaping me already.
Sigarda's Aid.
Sigarda's Aid, yeah.
I
Or
could also
Paladin or
see
something,
just
but
play land in a 0-drop, and where they're trying to hide the 0-drop away from removal. And that's what we see in the hand. Inkmoth Nexus, Ornithopter back for Happy Sandwich. Could have played the Ornithopter last turn and cast either Steel Shaper's Gift or Colossus Hammer.
yeah.
But much more important for them to start making constructs here on turn 2, because they have Pure Steel Paladin, which they'll cast later in the game. So they've got time to cast those equipment later and equip them with Pure Steel. But for now, the plan is constructs, and that means don't expose that Ornithopter to a Lightning Bolt or Unholy Heat.
Yeah, good move. Good move. I like this. And you had the Hollowed Fountain top deck, so you could have went, Ornithopter, Hollowed Fountain, play Paladin, go for that. But decides to just get the value off the Saga. And game 1 against Murktide, I mean, when I'm talking about, once again, the holy grail of Modern, Jeskai Breach, I want to just Saga them to death game 1. That's my plan against Murktide, and I feel great about it. Then if I play against the Murktide decks that have the main deck dress down, I just concede the whole match and I just be on my way. But most of the time that is a sideboard card that comes up. So these sagas can really get out of hand. And even if Urza's Saga is just make 2 constructs and it eats up 2 Unholy Heats, that's great.
Yeah.
Then it's a 3-for-1,
If any of them live, it's going to generate a bunch of extra artifacts on the battlefield. That means you can, cast some hammers, cast Pure Steel Paladin, and immediately start equipping and get around their removal that way. And honestly, this looks like a hand that matches up great against what we're seeing from Anson's hand, which is a lot of removal and card advantage.
Yeah.
All burn spells, lands, and expressive iterations. This is a hand that generates a lot of card advantage itself with the Pure Steel Paladin, with Urza Saga, and is going to stress all of this removal, stress their mana if they ever want to tap out for an iteration.
The one thing I would love here is just snap bolt that right now, because you don't get the second Saga now. So this is pretty good, So, this is pretty good. That bolt just now took care of 2 constructs. You have a bolt now in response to whatever goes on. You can probably bolt that Paladin and then start casting expressive iterations. So, I actually a big fan of, the possibility for Anson here. We'll see. This will be an interesting one.
Yeah, let's see if they go. So, getting the Ginger Brute off of the Saga means that they can go for a Pure Steel Paladin and an equip.
Oh.
And if the Lightning Bolt comes off on the Ginger Brute here, that's still possible. We can float a white, play Paladin, then animate Nexus as the last artifact.
Okay. So yeah, it's just trying to equip. You're not attacking, connecting any damage here.
No.
But you have to, if you're the hammer player, you just try to equip on Ginger Brute, right?
And if they bolt in response,
then you put it back to.
Then you animate Nexus and then move the hammer to the Paladin.
Yep.
And so, no.
Happy Sandwich did this quickly, too. It's like, yes, this is exactly what I do in this situation. I've seen it 100 times,
Yeah. And this is a draw where Anson on the draw had turn 1 interaction, turn 2 double interaction. And there's still going to be a hammered creature on the other side of the battlefield.
I love that. And I don't know specifically how the matchups goes for Hammer, but from the Murktide side, because once again, no secret here, I have been playing Jeskai Breach specifically only, for the last 2 sets. So I know a lot of matchups that compare to Breach. And in that scenario, I love to play against Hammer. I hate to play against Murktide. But I think if Hammer is doing so well in the metagame, I would assume it has a good Murktide matchup. Otherwise, if it doesn't, and it's losing to Breach, it's losing to this, what's it beating kind of thing,
Yeah, I think this is the kind of deck that never has matchups that are too bad.
Yeah.
It has these really strong openings. So even in a matchup like Murktide you look at Murktide and you say, oh, I've got a lot of cheap interaction. Sometimes it's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
There's just 3 pieces of cheap interaction. And now you got to make a decision here. Do I let the Ginger Brute get equipped and kill the Paladin and then try to find a way to deal with this 11/11? Or do I just deal with that and try to find a way to deal with the Paladin? The 11/11 is much harder to block.
Yeah.
because of that activated ability.
Well, the thing is, it's either deal with an 11-11 that's impossible to block, or try to deal with a 12-12 that's easy to block, but impossible to kill.
Yeah.
You know?
And if I'm looking at the deck list, I think you've got to deal with the Pure Steel Paladin. Because your out here is one main deck copy of Brazen Borrower. We can petty theft the Ginger Brute, leave that Colossus Hammer stranded, and then try to get something going from there. But if you leave them with the Pure Steel Paladin, then they're going to be able to re-equip.
Yeah, it's the classic Brazen Borrower for the bad matchup scenario, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so deals with the Paladin. Interesting that Happy Sandwich switched it over. Really thinking like, okay, if they didn't kill the Ginger Brute now, they don't have it. I'll move it back to the creature that I would rather have. Turns out they did have it. Happy Sandwich is probably like, okay, weird, but
well, there's two scenarios. Like, if they have it or they don't have it, and if they don't have it, you'd rather have it on the Paladin so they can't top deck a removal spell and deal with Paladin. But if they do have it, have to go for the Ginger Brute because otherwise everything gets blown up.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do it on the Ginger Brute first, but then you do the check of, oh, did you actually, have it? I'm going to move over to the Paladin and make sure and have them show me. So yeah, just a very heads up play here from Happy Sandwich, and nothing going off of that first expressive iteration from Anson. Just a couple of Esper Sentinels coming here, and now those Esper Sentinels are probably going to draw 2 cards because you've got to try to iteration into petty theft or you die.
Yeah, and I think exactly, found nothing because you put a Misty Rainforest to exile, and I think you put one to hand too. So must just been 3 lands.
Yeah,
probably just going to pack it up, even with a petty theft here. The 3/1/1s is probably going to be enough,
Yeah.
So really kind of all brutal. Be like, yeah, you got it. Have your card. Okay. Oh, I hate that card.
So do I.
I hate Esper Sentinel with every bean fiber in my body. That's how Hammer beats me. Those are the games they beat me. Esper Sentinel on the play. I have to play into it. Like, I have truly learned pretty effectively how to play around Sentinel with Breach. I mean, like when I'm on the draw, they play Sentinel. I'm almost always Regiman go, and then like the next turn, removal. If I can clear the way for Regiman, the game is probably pretty trivial. If not, it's a hard game, but
we saw Pure Steel Paladin come up there from those Sentinels. So even with a petty theft there, that was not going to be enough.
Yeah.
So we move on to sideboards, and I see a sideboard that is filled with some very good options for Anson here. 2 copies of Engineered Explosives, gotten a Braid, has a Dress Down, which is a great way to clear up Saga tokens. Blood Moon can be very effective in this matchup, shutting off Inkmoth Nexus and Urza Saga. Also, a new card that a lot of these lists are playing, 1 copy of Brotherhood's End.
Ooh!
Sweep away creatures, or you can sweep away a bunch of hammers and drums.
Yeah. Holy crap. That is a hateful sideboard for Hammer.
And there's a Fury.
Yeah. You know what we were saying earlier when there's like not that many cards for a matchup? You probably assume that it's a good matchup. That screams, this is not a good matchup. I want to be more prepared. Of course, you're still playing a deck with Regiman, counter spells, and spot removal, so you can take over any game at any point. But
this could potentially be a full swap. There's 8 counter spells in the main deck between 4.
You got to take out counter spells,
an Archmage's Charm, a Spell Snare, and 2 Spell Pierce. Those 8 cards could come out for just 8 better interactive cards. Maybe you want to trim some threats to leave in like the Archmage's Charm because it can be a hard counter or an interactive card.
Yeah. And like Shredder and DRC are both pretty medium in this matchup too.
Maybe like Spell Snare as a way to counter, Stoneforge Mystic.
Or, oh wait, there's only 1 Archmage's Charm. I thought that was a higher number. I was like, do you keep that? Because like counter spells, ideally not that great. But if you can steal an Esper Sentinel that's strapped up with a hammer or something, that could be good. But who knows? We are underway here. Reminder, everyone, Anson was our reanimator hero we saw a little bit earlier that managed to get it done.
And there's the big sideboard card from Happy Sandwich's side. Sanctifier and Vec can disrupt some Delirium stuff, obviously, with the graveyard. But more importantly, it's just a pro-red creature that you can try to equip.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Can't get bolted, can't get heated. That is really important as you see 3 copies of those cards in Anson's opening hand here. Very similar hand to what they had in game 1, but this time they're on the play, and I think that makes a huge difference.
That being said, this expressive iteration has to wait till turn 3. You have to get your maximum of value. And you got to find land and threats.
This
you
is
know,
also
so
just a really good hand from Happy Sandwich. Turn 1
exactly.
Sigardazade, turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic. We can go turn 3 Sanctifier and immediately
we don't
equip
have
it.
double white yet. There's the big
Yeah,
problem.
okay,
You know, so that's the hole in the hand that could lead to some horrible awkwardness. But if we get our way out of that, that's great. Sanctifier in back, that does help to the problems. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, a little bit of an awkward mana base with so many colorless sands. Ooh, that's a spell snare. That could be huge against the Sanctifier, though we do see a second copy now for Happy Sandwich. 4
Or
their
even
side
just for Stoneforge here is pretty huge. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you're snapping this spell snare.
Oh, yeah.
Not close.
Yeah, with the Sigardazade in play, you don't know that they have a hammer in hand.
Yeah. There's a nice little trick to spell snare. You look at your opponent's card and you ask yourself the question, does this cost 2? If it does, hit it. That card is so medium that if you get a target, you are just through the moon.
Yeah.
Spell snare used to be the blade, though. When Tarmogoyf was the card and Dark Confidant was the card. I remember decks that was like blue-white control decks with like 3 or 4 of them in the deck. You know, that
Counter
was
Snapcaster in the mirror.
Yep.
Well, we see the iteration fired off on turn 3 here for Anson. Awkward draws from Happy Sandwiches. Just drawing a pile of double white cards with only the single white source available. So if
big draw step.
Yeah, if they don't find the white source soon, that could give Anson a lot of time to try to set up.
But on the other hand, if they do find it and they go Paladin, then Anson's in that weird scenario. Do I try to aim it? You know, aim a removal spell? It'd be a train wreck. But basically what I'm saying is Happy Sandwich will always have 1 mana plus an instant speed hammer to protect it. So the game gets very blurry of like, you know, players constantly have to leave up mana and stuff like that.
At this point, if I'm Anson, I need to find engineered explosives.
Okay.
That's your way to answer Sanctifiers, or you can just answer the hammers and aid.
Or Dress Down.
Yeah. Dress Down will work too.
Yeah, one of my favorite tricks, because I've included a lot of Dress Downs in Breach. And it's actually been pretty cool. As in, like, most of the time, the matchups where you want Saga tokens, you usually, or where you don't want Saga tokens, where your other game plan just going for the combo is more important, Dress Down's usually good. So there's a lot of scenarios where you can go, like, your opponent's end step, Dress Down, untap, and then kill pesky cards like Sanctifier during your turn, and then Dress Down goes away. Nice little sweet play if Anson were to find it.
See what this iteration reveals. They're taking a long think about this one, so I imagine they have some options.
Options?
And, you know, given how quick a game 1 was, has plenty of time on the clock to think about these key decisions in the other 2 games.
All right, we see Murktide to the hand and DRC here.
Okay.
Oh, God. This can be a train wreck if Happy Sandwich top decks and untap white. Paladin, Hammer, Equip, go. I got a 12-12. These are the scenarios where you lose to Hammer when you get greedy like this. I'm not saying that's going to happen right now, but this game is basically over if Happy Sandwich top decks a white source. And if he doesn't, you know, might be over in the other way because Anson's hand is great.
Yeah, this is key.
Oh man, here's the game.
Bulba could also find EE. Island is not an engineered explosives.
Oh, but no land. It looks like we just went to end step. Gotta be a brick, and Anson's got to be feeling pretty good about that risk.
Yeah,
and now the game is over.
It looks like 2 instants or sorceries. Awkwardly, though, both are necessary to maintain Delirium. There's instant sorcery, land, artifact.
Love it.
So you could potentially just play this as a 3/3 Murktide.
That would still shut off Delirium.
Well,
you have to take all the other cards. Leave yourself with just instant sorcery.
No, you can spend 4 mana and remove 1 bauble and 2 lands.
Sure. Yeah,
we can do it just barely. But yeah, I don't think that is
yeah, I think you either shut down Delirium or you don't play it at all. Like you just fully shut it down, leave an artifact in there. One of the trickier to deal with things.
There's a Giver of Runes. I mean, you're gonna have to kill this anyway. So you want your Murktide to be cheaper. So I imagine a Bolt will be coming here.
I mean, maybe you gotta recognize there's 1 mana available. You can splash in a hammer and equip it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but a Bolt could come in, but maybe a Heat actually comes in first.
Yeah,
So if the heat works, he'd rather just have the bolts in hand to finish them off.
Yeah, so heat's here, and it is delirious, so you do have to just cast the hammer if you're gonna cast it from Happy Sandwich. And yeah, I was like, at this point, you just have to,
Yeah,
right?
and now we get to bolt in response.
Yeah.
Surveil again. Fury was the first surveil, so that's going to add a 5th type and make it easier to delve this Murktide
Yeah.
region as well. And we've just added a bunch of instants.
Yeah, so now Murktide's gonna come down. There's still gonna be one bolt. So now it'll come to Happy Sandwich's turn. If you do draw white source, you could play Paladin, and then you can try to flash in Shadow Sphere to draw a card, hope to draw land. Then you have 3 artifacts, you can strap it up. But that bolt is for sure gonna break this game away. And we should be heading to game number 3 here.
Yeah, and there's a bauble that is going to further fill the graveyard. This is one of the weird instances where I probably would have fetched before playing that bauble in case I surveilled to the top.
Yeah. No, it's definitely interesting.
But not going to make a huge difference here. I think we can pretty easily play a 6/6 Murktide while maintaining Delirium, and then with the bolt, everything will be lethal.
I like it.
I guess I can do it without even popping the Misty, so.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. The hammer decks do not play from behind. This is not a deck that plays from behind. You are always the aggressor in every match, because your deck is just so fast. It's so explosive. It doesn't really have that transitional element to it, which makes it not a complete S tier deck, to be honest. If it had some kind of pivot mechanism, it would just be the best deck because it's, plan A is so insane.
Yeah, sometimes you can steal games, often with Inkmoth Nexus, but that is definitely not going to happen here in the face of the bolt.
It's honestly kind of close, though, not super close. You still need a couple more things to go right, but with Sigardas and, Relic right on time.
You can also just block with the Murktide region there.
Yeah, that game looked like a complete and utter blowout. If one island or one plains came off Happy Sandwich's deck on turn 3 there, I don't think Anson would have a chance.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Their opening hand was excellent, and then their draws for the first 4 turns were about as bad as possible.
And Anson opened the door. Opened the door to tap out. Expressive Iteration kind of trapped Anson there. Like, obviously everything worked out, so this is not a punt by any means, but taking risks against Hammer is how you lose. Plain and simple, that is how you lose. If you don't take risks, most of the time you can play very coy. Eventually you find a threat and just hold up disruption all the time, because every time if you play it calm, when you go for a removal spell on one of their creatures, you get a natural 2 for 1. So if you're just 2 for 1ing them over and over, of course there's scenarios where that's not true, but in the broad scope of thing,
that's where Urza Saga comes in.
Yes.
That's the one that forces you to interact with things that is generating card advantage for them.
Yes.
And no Urza Sagas that game, stuck on lands, and
no dress downs from Anson either, too, so which is also big.
Yeah, won that game really without any of their major cyber cards. Like the Fury got milled by DRC, it didn't get cast in any way. So I think if you're for Anson's side, you got to be feeling good. We're going to game 3, and I have all of these great cards to draw to: EE, Fury, Brotherhoods, and hopefully those will carry me for one game, and I can lock up my spot in the second day of this tournament. Because this is our final round of Modern here, round 6. After this, we will be moving into the Pioneer portion of day 1.
Absolutely.
3 more rounds today before we cut to everyone who is 6-3 or better, and then tomorrow those players will be seeded into a double elimination bracket that is all Modern and Pioneer. Modern if you win, Pioneer if you lose.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's how it should be. You know what? If you stay a winner, you get to play the Gods format of Modern. And if not, you got to flip some coins and Pioneer in the losers bracket. Now, that being said, it does look like we'll see if our bracket is accurate when it comes to tomorrow. But it looks like our 1, 2, 3, and 4 will be essentially receiving a bye. So our top 4, similar to SCG events and stuff that been, I would say, playing, but you've been top 8ing all of them. Similar style where we do reward those top 4 players. 5th place, though, too bad, you're playing.
So definitely much to play for towards the end of this day, even more than just making it to the second day, but trying to advance as far as you can. A little bit of a landlight hand here from Happy Sandwich. Decided to go for the Esper Sentinel first. Presumably, if they have the removal spell, then I get to draw an extra card.
Yeah.
So now we got the Sigarda's Aid down. That's Also kind of interesting. I might have gone for Giver, but
Yeah, also, yeah, very interesting. I mean, Esper Sentinel, super annoying to play around here. So anything Anson plays, it will result in playing a card. But if Anson has Spell Pierce right now, it's definitely within Happy Sandwich's range to not play a land yet. So this might be a tempting thing. Cigar de Zade makes the games pretty tough. And Happy Sandwich is like, please counter that, please counter that. I have
Yeah.
a second one. Yes, counter it. Doesn't. And now the jig is up. Anson knows I should play the game in such a way where I tax my opponent's mana. And I think step one of that means if I have a bolt, pay, go.
yeah.
There is still a risk of that, though.
And another land is a great draw here. That's going to allow Stoneforge Mystic to enter. And now you've got mana up to pay to cast a Colossal Hammer.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. Or go for Giver.
Yeah.
Like, here's the squeeze that Hammer puts you in constantly.
Oh, was that is there a Spell Snare?
Well, sack that fetch first if it's Spell Snare.
Well, yeah.
To pay. Sometimes
to pay for Sentinel.
I've before hit like, okay, and they're like, would you like to pay? And we're like, well, you got a Misty Rainforest. That doesn't pay for it. We're like, oh, dang it. Tapping the isle or tapping that would be weird. I mean, unless you're just auto.
Yeah, this feels like the Spell Snare again. Yes, that is huge.
Yes. And honestly, right now, Anson is just like shields down. We'll see if we can get that hands up to see what's actually going on. But like, please don't have a hammer. Please don't have a hammer. Doesn't.
And now, do we have the engineered explosives to end this game immediately?
Oh God, EE plus land.
Come on.
Come
on.
They're either celebrating doing backflips that they just drew this.
They're doing the breach dance.
Yeah. Oh, we'd have to sue Anson for copyright for that, of course. But
Oh yes, collect our royalty check.
remind everyone we are in round 6 of 9. Nice, and we will be playing until we reach round number 9. Best records of 6 and 3 will advance. So this is a winning in, straight winning in.
Loser, of course, still in very good shape to make the second day. Just needs to pick up 1 win in the Pioneer portion.
Oh, God. I thought the way that mana was tapped for a while, I thought we had it. All right. There is that getting out of there. And now, especially, if Anson has 1 more piece of removal, you got to be feeling excellent. Oh, my God. Best possible off the top.
That's a good draw.
That was the best possible, for sure.
Now we get to use the Stoneforge to tap the drum to play the hammer that the Stoneforge finds, leaving the Giver up to protect the Stoneforge in the house that Stoneforge built.
But that seems pretty complicated. That seems pretty easy right there. Now do you go for it, Ross?
I think so. With only 1 mana up, I wouldn't want to pass and let them have either a counter spell or a second removal spell.
Yeah, same. I think I probably would have jammed too, but to be fair, if you just jam on Giver, it's much worse if they have their removal spell.
I would jam on Stoneforge. I would leave the Giver up.
Oh, okay.
Just to get it to an 11-12. You run afoul of engineered explosives, but EE is narrow to make catalyst.
Mm-hmm. No, that's the play I like. I'd do it right now.
Yeah. Maybe there's a Brotherhood's End, but that's probably hitting creature, or that's probably hitting artifacts if you go first, but even that you can recover from still. You still got aid.
Yeah, I think Counterspell is a nightmare. You got to probably put your opponent on siding them out. But even Happy Sandwich thinking about this here, that shows how close of a line this is. I think I'm with you, though. I think tap that Stoneforge with the drum, flash and hammer, put it on Stoneforge. And they can't have a red piece of removal. They could have spells. Pierce, right? They already spell snared.
Yeah, spell snare wouldn't even counter hammer.
Yeah, I would have countered the Mystic though, so they definitely don't have that.
They only have 1 in their deck.
Okay, well that makes it easier. Oh yeah, honestly, I love hammer isn't a deck that I actively try to play all the time. All the matches with hammer involved is awesome. I think I'd put a hammer on that one.
Well, they know you have the hammer, so now I'm worried, how are they baiting me?
Yeah. I don't know if I could not play into this bait, though.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's got to be EE, right?
Yeah, I think it has to be.
It has to be. And they're just trying to get that hammer out and not equipped it to Stoneforge. Honestly, I think the next level play is just equipping it to Stoneforge anyways. Yep. Love it. Love it. Just be like, yep, you got it. Because now if they have it, at least, it's still kind of the exact same.
Yeah.
So maybe actually that's not even a next level play.
Is this Brotherhood's End?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
So in that case, Hammer just leveled himself by not just saving the giver. You would have just had another giver here for free. Not that that's huge right now. I mean, all of a sudden,
you draw any of your other hammers.
True, but I'm saying in this particular moment, it wouldn't do that much more, just attack. But man, all of a sudden, Anson just beautifully worked their way into a advantageous place with just a Smell Stare, just an Unholy Heat, Bolt, and a Brother's End. I mean, that sounds like it's a lot, like I'm saying with just these 4 cards, but it's not that much, you know? But look at how much value was dealt with on Happy Sandwich's graveyard there with those minimal amount of spells. And that's what I'm talking about. If you can play your spells in the absolute correct way, you usually can beat Hammer, pretty effectively. You know, it reminds me a lot of like Amulet. Amulet is really tough for not as great of players to beat, you know, especially when Amulet used to be complicated with all those weird lines.
Yeah.
But if you knew how to beat it, the matchup actually was kind of trivial, you know?
And here we see the perfect follow-up, interacted beautifully on the first few turns and now has the immediate clock. Murktide, Regent, Ragavan, let's go.
Yeah, this match has been awesome. This match has been absolutely awesome. This tournament just has been great so far. Triple format tournaments are awesome. I've never played one personally. Have you?
Yes.
Indies or
players
champs used to be, right? Okay, gotcha. All right, so here comes Ragavan and Murktide. And we're going to have a couple of turns here. But honestly, if there's no removal spell or something and we top deck a Hammer, Happy Sandwich could still win this game.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's if there's no interaction. And looks like there might not be.
Okay.
If we're tapping out for Shredder, there definitely isn't. Yeah, just another DRC in hand. Like we drew the iteration off of the Connive.
Okay, it's got to be Hammer or it's got to be... No, it has to be just Hammer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stoneforge Mystic. Oh, yeah.
No, because you have to give it haste, kind of. 7, 8,
Sanctifiers.
9, 10. All right. Haste. 14,
and then you only have 13 next turn with a Hammer, so...
And Expressive Iteration is probably going to find a second spell to connive once. That's all that needs to be done here. If we can find second spell off Expressive Iteration that we put to exile and put a non-land card in your hand, the game is over.
Yeah.
Or a Bolt, of course.
Bolt will do it.
Okay, Charm to hand. Now, if anything is castable in the exile, that's GG. And we also got information that they kept in Charm. There we go.
Bobble. Yep. So
well
this
played.
Charm gets discarded to one of the Connives, and that's an 11-point attack. So Anson going to be moving on to 6-0, our lone undefeated player left in the field.
Wow.
Swept Legacy, swept Modern, onto Pioneer with no pressure about making day 2. Now it's just about setting themselves up to get that round 1 bye in the double elimination bracket.
Yeah, and honestly, the only player that did double sweep, mathematically, that's the only one that's possible. And well deserved. Reanimator being a deck that I sure as heck would not have played or thought would have been like a great call. A nice metagame call, looked pretty easy from Anson's side. And then we only saw one match here with this, but it was a doozy of a match. I gotta say, Anson played that phenomenally. Especially that third game. I thought that was really good. The second game, I think it was greedy. That DRC, I will not hide that. I think that was truly a small misplay that could have just ended terribly. There were situations where maybe I'm sure Anson thought in his head, do I need pressure here or do I not? And maybe the answer was yes, but he still opened the door and we had the perfect information that if there was a land picked up, Paladin, equip it, it was going to be basically GG, but took the calculated risk, paid off, and advances to day 2.